But anyway, yeah, I suppose, God, we've already been going for over 2 hours. I suppose it'd be a good idea to go over sort of personal bests for this year. Sort of start out with.
We're actually getting some structure. Yo.
Yeah. Like,
No.
well, start off with personal best albums. Don't necessarily have to be from this year. Obviously, that would be a benefit, but if you've not listened to anything specific from this year, then whatever. Just a new album that you listened to this year.
Or just do what we did last year and have more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's some pretty damn good stuff we've released this year.
Yeah. So we'll do it in reverse. Well, we'll mix it up a bit.
Earliest you.
Huh?
It was reverse from earliest you.
Yeah. Actually, I'll mix it up a bit. So Pierce, you first as the.
Box successfully barred.
I also evade.
What?
Anyway, I will to evade the question. Best of the year.
Just album-wise this time.
Yeah, I'll look at album stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a lot of good stuff this year. Probably more than last year even. I mean, the first thing that came to mind when I thought of best album of the year was actually Namade by Octozooks. Because it blew the fuck out of me when I just. It's really wrong words, but when I first heard it, I was like, whoa, shit, this is cool.
Yeah?
That definitely stands out for me as being something that I don't think I've ever heard anything that sounds quite like it. Yeah, it also sounds really, really good at the same time.
Fair dues.
I mean, other than that, possibly say Faith No More, which you also did a review of.
Yeah.
Sol Invictus was fantastic, and Sol from Draconium, which also did a review of, was also fantastic. So that's actually two of the things I mentioned are actually things you've done reviews on.
Yeah.
Because I think you got good reviews from both of them. Then the other thing I'll probably mention is Dawn by Ama. It really impressed me as an album.
Yeah.
It sounds really good. I mean, those four are probably the things that stand out most. After all, I probably would actually go for Namade Octozooks as my actual overall favourite, simply because, just, as I said, it's something completely unlike anything else I've ever heard. I like things that are new and different like that. So.
Yeah. For me, as favourite albums, three. Well, I need to check with one of them because I'm not sure whether it came out at the end of last year or the start of this year. But the standouts for me have been Sol Invictus and Sovereign, but also very start of this year. I'm pretty sure. Just give me a sec. If it loads properly. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. So February this year, UFO's newest album.
Okay.
That was a real standout for me because it's one of those. It's kind of a good contrast with what I was saying earlier about AC/DC and how they don't really sound like they've evolved or changed at all. And I think what helps with UFO is how they've had a bit of a revolving door type policy with their members. So they've always got new blood, they've always got old blood coming in who actually have new ideas and new experiences that they can bring to the forefront. It's also Paradise Lost brought out a new album.
I've seen it around, I haven't listened to it yet.
I've heard some of the tracks from it, and it definitely feels a bit like a sort of mix of Draconian Times and Gothic sort of.
I don't know, earlier stuff style then.
Yeah, definitely worth a look in. There are various other albums. As I said, we didn't get a chance to get round to, like Ugly Kid Joe's newest album, which was it felt very much like a experiment in just doing different styles. You know, there wasn't one specific style that they were doing, but it all felt in keeping with Ugly Kid Joe's music. But yeah, the key albums that really stood out to me, and I thought, yes, this is definitely sort of good ones for this year. Sort of the best ones for this year were A Conspiracy of Stars, which is UFO's newest album, Soul Invictus, and Sovereign.
Yeah, similar kind of stuff to me, really.
Yeah. Richard?
Oh, wow. Okay, right. Were we just talking about stuff from this last year, or
just
or anything?
Just new
Right, okay,
albums
well,
that we've listened to this year or last.
Well, stuff I've been
whatever.
listening to a lot. Well, Piers and I went on holiday to Japan back in October, and I picked up a lot of stuff there. And one thing that's really stuck out to me is Triangle, spelled try, as in like to make the effort, an angle, like, well, angle, by Altima, which is made up of the keyboard guy from Flipside, whose name I can't remember, Mount Kurosaki, she used to have like a solo accent, she still does, and Motsu, the guy who was the rapper from Move, who did a lot of music for Initial D and stuff. They had a lot of international success, but broke up a couple of years ago. But it's a they're a very solid unit. It's, I don't know, it's one of the cheesiest things I might have ever heard. But it's very listenable. Like there's a lot of amusing rapping in English, but everything's got a really solid beat. You know, each part shines a lot. You know, you can clearly tell because like they just work very well as a group. I don't really know how to put it. Like it's kind of, it feels very much out of its time. Like I'm sure Pierce, wouldn't you say it like feels like something that should have come out like in the mid 2000s? I guess.
Yes, it does it kind of echoes that kind of era.
Because it's like this sort of electronica with rap and stuff. It's an experience. You really should look up some of the music videos to really get what they're all about. But they're the kind of group that sort of, you can tell they don't take themselves seriously by the fact that they look like they're putting on so hard that they're taking themselves seriously, if you get what I mean. Like, no one could wear those kinds of sunglasses and do this like, yeah, it's very much something you have to see. I can't really do it justice talking about it right now. The only things, but to go on something that I could probably talk a bit more about, in terms of Dojin stuff, I've been listening a lot to Diamond Smile by the very confusingly named You. It's and
Me?
called not You, exactly confusingly named, but it's a hardcore album. It's
Who's on first?
But yes, it's only got one track that's voiced, but it's by a vocalist called Nayuta, but it's got a lot of bounce, and I'd like to talk at the same time an EP by a guy called Kalate, called Kiss the Comet, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Like Kiss the Comet in particular it's just got the perfect amount of energy. I don't really, but it's not to the point where I call it Dempa, because it feels more to me like a hardcore album. Like but it's got a lot of those kind of things where it's like lots of complicated little patterns that you wouldn't find in your average sort of hardcore album. It's got lots of little sort of melodic sort of tweaks and lots of effects and like sort of I don't really know how to put it because I'm not well versed in how to in this kind of stuff, but it just feels intricate. Every bit of it feels like it has had immense amounts of care into it. So it's got that kind of that punchiness, but also has all these sort of cute little touches as well. I don't know. Can music sound cute? I guess it can.
Well, Chiari.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like it's it's interesting because I mean, like most of these tracks on both of these albums don't have a vocalist. It's just instrumental stuff. But it's something I've been listening a lot to on my way to work, and it pumps me up, I guess. I'm sorry, I don't really got much on that.
That's fine.
Probably because I'm still sort of very much finding my way in with this kind of music. It's. I'm sorry, you lost me.
Don't worry.
Do you want me to make a start, or would you go?
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm going to start off by mentioning some of the older stuff
Mm-hmm.
that I've sort of not necessarily come across this year, but have been kind of significant in my kind of soundtrack for the year, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
In a non-cringeworthy way. First of all, Stan Rogers, Northwest Passage.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know who he is, he's a folk singer from like the 80s in Canada. But I would challenge anyone not to feel something at the title song of that album, because it's amazing. It's just a cappella, but it's you can't, even not knowing the story behind it, which is like fairly famous in sort of Canadian history. It gets you in a way that like little else can.
Kind of be intrigued.
Yeah, look it up on YouTube or something.
What's the title?
Northwest Passage.
Okay.
Turns out it would be like one of the first ones you see.
Mm.
But there are a couple more. Funkadelic, Maggot Brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much as it says on the tin with Funkadelic. It's funky, but it's kind of trippy and weird. A few other things. As I mentioned earlier on, Percival. If you've seen any videos on The Witcher or anything like that, you've heard their music. You know kind of what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
It's just using things like violins and like in ways that we don't often hear in the West.
Intriguing.
And as for like stuff that came out this year, as Pierce said, Aimer, Dawn, great album. I really liked. It's hard picking out a track on that was the best. But I would actually say her cover of Moon River is amazing.
The Moon River cover is very good, yes. It's weird. I keep on hearing Moon River around. It's really common at the moment. I mean,
because it's good.
it's a good song, but I keep on hearing just different variants of it everywhere.
There's also Cold War Kids and Florence the Machine. They're both kind of, I'm lumping them together here because they're both albums that are very much a continuation of their previous sound. There's a few little new nuances, but it's not that much of a leap. Cause I feel really weird because I was the one who was saying the other day, oh, I've not listened to anything this year, but I clearly have. Garnadelia, I think is how you pronounce it.
Oh, Garnadelia, let's get to them.
Oh yes, Garnadelia. Yeah, I always wanted to do it the other way around with the D's and the N's, but
yeah, same.
Yeah, her stuff she's released is pretty much exactly what I was expecting, and it's very enjoyable. Richard, were the JoJo anthologies this year?
Yes, they were. That's a good point. Yeah,
they are very excellent. It's just kind of a remix almost of songs on the soundtracks and that kind of thing.
I think Go West is the what was it? The Go West thing is the strongest one of the entire lot.
I know Stan Proud dramatic version is amazing.
That's all right, but it's.
I still think the Sonachino Sadame breakdown is amazing, and it's the one.
So we're all none of us are in agreement on the best thing. I guess that's a mark of this thing's. That should be taken as a mark of this thing's caliber. It's really good, and every single bit of it was. Every single one of these songs had something good to offer,
and they all cater for someone's tastes at some point. I also listened to Calafina, Fire on the Water. I'm sure I don't know how much you enjoyed it, Pierce, because I didn't catch that podcast. But I know you've been sort of saying in the past year or so, I know they can do better.
They can do better. I give it like a 3.5 out of 5, which is way lower than anything else I've done.
Yeah, we kind of we were agreed on that point that it's a 3.5 out of 5. It's sort of, there are good points, but they've done so much better. Plus, a couple of songs that niggled at me and boiled Pierce's piss to no end.
Yeah. Yes, tell me. I was going to ask. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the podcast at the time. But did you talk about all the stuff that we saw live while we were over there?
What, Calvina?
Well, Calvina and the other stuff.
No, because the Calvina podcast was before we went.
Oh, right. Well, okay then.
Well, I did mention some of the live concert stuff when we were doing the Silent Hill live, like the week I got back.
Oh,
I didn't
right.
mention
Well,
anything else to talk about.
Well,
so.
I haven't been. Okay. Well, I guess we'll deal with that in a bit then.
Well, I think we'll do a section on live stuff we've seen anyway. So.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. I guess we'll. Yeah.
What about Dan?
Well, the only thing is I've seen are things that you've also seen, so I guess we'll just have to collaborate on that bit.
Anyway, Dan, continue.
I had to go with listening to Kendrick Lamar's "To the Butterfly" because I saw it on so many publications' top of the year lists and whatnot. I can see definitely why they put it there. It's very kind of inventive for hip hop. I'm not a huge fan of hip hop, so I can't really go into any more detail on that. But as far as my album of the year goes, it's probably that Grimes album, Art Angels.
Mm-hmm.
Because while it is a lot more kind of mainstream pop feeling, it's still got that kind of ethereal, not abstract, but definitely kind of really. It's hard to describe, but it's
sounds like something I might enjoy, so I'll have to check out.
Give it a look sometime. You might not enjoy it. It might be a bit divisive, but yeah, it's definitely up there. Anyway, I think that caps out everything apart from maybe Monday Guard.
Monday Guard was good. Look, I think the B-side for Crazy Party Night was actually probably the best Carrie song this year, in my opinion.
I listened to that. I didn't know what the hell was going on, which I suppose is normal for Carrie, but
I haven't heard anything about that one, so I can't comment.
Carrie stuff, I've fallen a little bit out of touch with it. I haven't listened to as many of them. I wasn't so fond of that Halloween one she did recently. It felt very...
Was that Crazy Party Night? I think it might have been.
Crazy Party Night, yeah, that's the one.
I really like the B-sides on that are better than the main song.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? That's generally our stance on B-sides in general, isn't it? But still.
That's true, a lot of bands do it.
Well, you've got to have the most accessible, I guess, in quotation marks, one at the front, haven't you? But
true.
But still, I don't know. I wasn't that fond of that, so...
I think the main title track is not even close to our best single work, let alone our best album stuff. I agree with you there.
I think my album of the year would probably have to be... So I'm sorry, I'm going back to it now, but I would be Denver Gimme.
Denver Gimme's album is... Denver.
WDB. Well, yeah. Different reason normal. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention it then simply because I kind of lost track of it when I was trying to talk about other things because I've now been talking about Denver Gimme all podcast.
Ed.
Yeah?
I know you didn't like what you heard of Denver Gimme, but I would recommend track 12, I think it is, which is the one that's done by the guy who wrote all the music for BAS.
Mm-hmm.
It's much kind of more heavier rock style than anything else on that album or anything else they've done. So it might be something you may actually appreciate well.
Might be worth looking up some of the songs that were written for them by Hyade, simply because I know you like the literature themes.
That's true as well. There's basically both of those things on this album, just later on that you wouldn't have heard of that you checked out.
Oh, give it a look.
Those two might be a bit more your style than the kind of hyperactive earlier stuff, which you heard when you
Well, we both know I'm a hummingbird in terms of music. I like sugary things as much as I can get.
You just said that I like metal, which is why I like the one song that sounds kind of like hard rock.
And I'm the very heavy metal head.
I guess that makes me the butterfly, who sort of just forgets what direction he's supposed to be going and likes everything.
That sounds like me, naturally, as well.
Well, that's the case with it. Well, to everyone to some extent.
I think all of us are quite varied.
We're not, we're all quite varied. I mean, as much as I've been talking about Denver and stuff like this time, you guys know that there's a bit more than me than that. A bit.
Yeah. But
one of the co-hosts on Music Show, we kind of mentioned this on if a lot of stuff we don't know, we certainly have our niches. I suppose check out at least some mainstream stuff.
I'm just thinking, to progress from here, might as well go for favourite live. I'm going to expand it out to not just seeing a band live, but general music-focused live shows that we would have been
that makes
to.
Sense.
Because at least that means there's a much broader opportunity for saying...
I mean, I'm still going to have to tap out because I've not gone to see anyone this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair enough.
I've been
we just haven't gone to see anyone for like 20 years.
I have been to so many gigs this year, it's rather ridiculous.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything that I've been to, well, pretty much everything Rich has been to, I've been to as well, plus extra.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you two might as well do conjunction and...
Just to start with the stuff we've done together.
Yeah.
Okay, right, so what have we even done together? We went to Hybrid
Japan
so we saw people there. Also, Ed was there for that. So,
Yeah.
We didn't go to...
We already talked about that, but still.
No, we haven't yet. I mean,
well,
to be fair, half of that was Dempagumi, which I didn't see.
Oh, Dempagumi, huh? What?
Hybrid Japan. It wasn't there for Dempagumi.
No.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't there for Dempagumi. Yeah, sorry, I misheard that. I thought you were saying you weren't there.
And it also left for ARA as well.
ARA, yeah.
It just didn't really...
Well, yeah, they completely bugged it up with the acoustics for ARA.
The sound in that venue was shit.
Yeah.
That was utter. They fixed it. To be fair, they did fix a lot of it in time for Dempagumi, which is...
Still sounded pretty bad.
Well, yeah, but I'll take that over ARA by a long shot.
It's not the worst thing I've heard, but it's one of them.
To be honest, I think the thing is, with ARA, it pretty much ruined the set for me in a lot of ways. But when it got to Dempagumi, their presence on stage was far more powerful. There's
a lot of visuals, dancing around and performance as well. So.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, right? They had a lot more energy and it overpowered, the shittiness of the acoustics. You know what I mean? But it's a shame that we didn't catch all of it because entry to that thing was a pain in the ass. But
you got a bit more than you did, but not much.
Yeah, but not much because I got in almost immediately after you, I think.
Organisation for that whole thing was a bit...
Well, having events too early on compared to the time it opened.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did not think that. They had all the best events lined up before most people.
I think this year they're doing it in the Olympus rather than the O2, so we'll see where the new venue does do it.
Well, they should have just adjusted the timetable to make the really exciting stuff not happening at 8 o'clock in the morning. I know that's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. The director of Nice Society was there. I missed him entirely because I was standing out in line.
Too far, I did say we should get an early train. No one agreed with me.
Yeah, no, sorry. But
I was fully ready to get the earlier train, but some people needed showers for some reason.
Going to Cornwall covered in dirt and sweat is probably the worst idea you know.
It was bad idea versus bad idea, I think. But
it's time for a bad idea.
Just fuck my shit up.
Just had to have a shower earlier or the night before. So.
Yeah, but basically, yeah. After that, there was a couple of bands because there was that one band we didn't like. That we
Alexandros.
Alexandros, yeah. They were
just generic pop rock. There's nothing interesting I found about them at all.
Yeah.
The kind of interesting thing they did was they covered some song. I can't remember what song it was, but I remember the cover they did was actually better than their own stuff.
I can't remember.
Yeah. But basically, what there was Ling Tosti Sigure, which Ling Sigure Tosti. I can't remember the exact word.
I think it's Ling Sigure Tosti, isn't it? I can't remember.
But in any case, Ed didn't hate it, which is good.
I thought it was generally really good, actually.
I rather enjoyed it. The guy's got very interesting vocals, and that was good. I was already aware of some of their music, but I found them pretty electrifying seeing them live.
Wait, you thought they were The Rock?
What?
The Rock is known as the most electrifying person in entertainment.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
I think Kanye West has something to say about that.
Yeah, but The Rock can actually talk.
All time. But yeah, I thought they were really exciting. I think I might have actually enjoyed them more than Vamps in the long run because while we did see Vamps I think Vamps were better live. But if I were to compare albums, I'd say Ling's.
I think I prefer Ling's music, but Vamps has got a damn good stage show.
They've got a very
that
front man.
Vamps was the only one I actually got properly entertained by. So
I mean, Vamps as in the Japanese rock band, not the other Vamps or the Vamps, all of which are completely different things.
Yeah.
Because too many things called Vamps, Jesus Christ.
Too many Vamps. Calm down. Put as much creativity into your name as you do your music.
For stage show,
yeah.
I think the front man is part of another band. I can't remember. I think it might be Lock and Seal. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't
I know
like
that-
to say.
Some kind of
to
connection,
another,
yeah.
I mean, relatively well-known Japanese rock band.
Yeah.
It kind of tells you he has a lot of experience doing live
Yeah,
stuff.
Mm.
I think that's pretty much all we have to really say about Hyde Japan's concerts, because we didn't see the other guys that were there.
Okamoto's.
Yeah, Okamoto's. But
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it was
just
pretty,
good to know that Ling and Alexandros and Vamps are in a slightly different venue, which means that the sound was considerably better.
that is worth mentioning. Yeah, they actually had a really good venue. I wish Denver could have been up there, but what are you going to do? Never going to happen.
I would prefer just to pay a little bit extra and see all the bands in a proper venue than that shithole.
Yeah. Anyways, other musical stuff we did, so I guess we better sort of hop on.
Well, before you go any further, I'm just going to mention that in between that and Japan, I went to see Agalok in Islington Assembly Hall in London, supported by a post rock band I'd never heard of called Crown. They were kind of interesting. The first song they played wasn't really anything that interesting, kind of sounded very monotonous. But I'm not sure about this. But after that, the other songs they played were a lot more interesting. A lot more kind of variety to the sound. It sounded really quite good, actually. Very kind of heavy, kind of chugging build ups, which is kind of expect from post metal. Which is still a stupid thing for a genre, but hey. And then Agalok, one of my favourite bands, top 5 kind of material, alongside Galafina, which we mentioned earlier. The second time I've seen them, I saw them when they came to the UK first time around back in 2007, and they were damn good then, and they were damn good this time as well. Got a very good show, and it was just overall very enjoyable. I'm still wondering what song was played in intermission though, because it's like half an hour intermission that you get with regular concerts, and then as far as I can tell, it was just one song for the entire intermission. It sounded really cool.
Okay.
As you do.
Ambient kind of black metal kind of thing. It might have been summoning, I'm not sure. Something like something stuff anyway. But yeah, it's definitely worth seeing, and I would like to see them again. As said, they're one of my favourite bands, and they know how to put on a solid performance. It's very atmospheric, which is something they're known for. I mean, both times now they come on stage and just set up a bunch of incense on the front of the stage.
Right.
It's really cool stuff.
Anyway, so then we went to Japan, right? I'm assuming we're not missing anything now.
Yeah,
but yeah, we had a couple of experiences, didn't we? Because before we went to our big concert, we did Mogro, which I mentioned here before, many episodes ago. I don't know, I should just mention it again. It's like this, it's a very geeky club. Unfortunately, it wasn't very busy when we went, but it was very comfy. There was a sort of like running it like as a kind of more cafe on the day, but there were still DJs, at work. One of which I'm kind of a fan of, called K, not of relation to the K I mentioned earlier. But yeah, they were very impressive. The transitions and stuff were very impressive. Like there was this one girl who did these amazing mashups where she just overlaid the amazing Attack on Titan theme tunes over to transition with which came out. Which was quite a surprise, wasn't it? Yes, like that was
pretty cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, whilst I know they upload a lot of their stuff to Ustream, that one won't be on there, which is a shame because I'd really like to know exactly who that was, but I will not know. The other thing we did was DS Stage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, PS was more clued on this one than I was, but that is an experience was fucking mental. Because that was busier, and well, the whole place was filled with salarymen, wasn't it? We walked in, and the first song we heard was Choir Jail, just like big blasts out, which I'm sure PSC must have mentioned Choir Jail on here before. I know what you're like.
I probably have at some point.
I don't think you have, actually.
Okay, well.
Choir Jail is one gigantic clusterfuck of a song.
And it's amazing.
It's hilarious, yes.
But yes, but yeah, it's DS Stage is like a place for like amateur idols to try and become real idols, I guess. But yeah, it's so we like Denver Gurus came from there originally, so it's like kind of a bigger deal than it might have used to have been, I guess. They've got close ties with Mogger, so occasionally like you get remixes of songs by these idols by the DJs who work at the other place. But it was quite an odd experience because we walked in, and like when the next performance began, it was like various girls would get on stage to sing some popular J-pop or anime song, and there were all these like salarymen sort of waistcoats off, like sort of standing there in their work outfits, like just headbanging at the front to like anime music. Like freaking out. They were flinging their arms around and like.
Critics and everything.
Yeah. They were completely nuts.
Metal. That's good.
Yeah, like I don't even know what to even say to that, but the performances varied. Some of them were really good, some of them were bad. It was more like some of them clearly had a far better idea of how to like rule the stage. Like there was just one girl in particular. I'm gonna have to see if I can find her because like I thought her performance was very good. But just like some of them just choose lively songs and just like prancing around the stage like to get working everyone up. Like they needed any help anyway. Like it was like even during the slower songs, there was still these selling them just flailing their heads around and dance like maniacs. Even if they were like, it was some sad song from some war drama or whatever, they were there like, yeah, flail, 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 flail. It was. I've never seen anything like that at all. I mean, that could be because I could say that about a lot of things we saw there, but that in particular was weird. If anyone listened to this ever plans to go over there, go to Deer Stage. It is a hell of an experience. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about it, Pierce?
Oh. It was really fun. There's kind of venue. I guess it kind of resembles the kind of venues you get over here, which is basically just a pub that's kind of been converted into a live house.
Ah.
Yeah.
Basically, things like really small venues, like say the Witch Rooms in Portsmouth, maybe, or probably a bit smaller than that, and probably it's like kind of Underworld again, but also smaller.
But it's also its own indie record label, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also an indie record label, and
so it's a record label, but it's also a live house that sells drinks. If you buy 2 of their CDs while you're there, they'll give you a ticket so that you can go upstairs and get one of their CDs signed by a cute girl who you don't understand.
Which is exactly what happened to Rich.
That's what happened to me. I did not know what I was getting. I got a ticket. We were there with a friend, and he was like, Rich, you can take this upstairs and I'll send it for you. I was like, what? I took it upstairs and I made a right fool of myself to one of the girls who did on stage, and it was fun. Also, I almost fell down the stairs and killed myself, which got the attention of the girl who I thought was the best performer that we saw there. So I was like, oh, cool. I almost got taken to hospital by this cool performer. I guess. So yeah, that is like the best time I've ever almost fallen downstairs to my death. A++, will fall downstairs again.
That.
To be honest, it didn't really help that she was taking promotional photos in this really narrow staircase. So I was like, I leapt over her, tried to get downstairs, and then almost stumbled to my death. It was good. Also, Pierce, because it was dark, Pierce tried to take a photo, not noticing that there were hundreds of no photography signs, and subsequently, there was a DJ guy at the back, and he just jumped out and just like tapped Pierce on the shoulder and went, "No."
Yeah,
oh shit! It's a guy. Better tell him to shut up. How do I tell him to do that? No. Yeah, it was kind of weird because like there was a line where you had to stand in front of as opposed to behind. So I was constantly sort of thinking, I don't want to box people in too much. I better step back, stepping over the line, and then shot back in by the DJ. And I was like, I just don't want to not be in the way. But yeah, it's very cramped. It is very cramped indeed. Don't worry about it being quiet, because even if it's quiet, it'll take up all the room.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's possibly the smallest venue I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I've been to quite a lot of venues.
Anyway, Pierce, you should probably take the wheel now, based on what we did next.
And it's just some band no one cares about.
No one cares about it, no.
Especially not me.
Especially, what kind of douchebag would listen to these guys?
But yeah, we went to see California in Osaka. It was pretty good.
It was okay, I guess. It was 2015.
God.
Yeah, it was fucking amazing. That's what I would say, really. The set list could have been better, and they did play Believe, which, as you may have heard from the last thing, I fucking hate.
How many times have you ranted about it?
I don't need to rant about it again, because I spent the entire time filling out the questionnaire while I was playing. I didn't actually pay attention to it, so I don't actually know what happened.
Yeah, it was an odd thing. I've never seen Pierce fanboy out or squeal as hard about something as this. It was a really quite unusual experience.
What's good? It was.
Well, yeah. That's from College of Japan that you got the full experience.
All the girls are pretty much on top form, and I played some good stuff. I played some okay stuff. I played one song that was shit. Didn't for the other song that was shit, so that's good.
Awaiting Medica. Nothing else happens. Oh.
You got Mysteriosa from Rebellion.
Yeah. But
That was legitimately the only song I played from Attica, which is disappointing because it's actually probably the worst one above Mariah.
But I can't remember. Didn't do Heavenly Blue today. I was kind of disappointed because I just wanted to hear T.S. spaz out. And also because I have a...
I believe which is Heavenly Blue but worse.
Yeah, so. But I have an ironic appreciation for Album Zero, so...
To be fair, Heavenly Blue is... I actually don't mind it when it's live. It sounds a lot better live. I don't like it, but it's tolerable live.
Backpedal hard just so that Richard can't talk shit about it.
It's tolerable live, that's the thing. Not much more than tolerable, but...
Yeah.
It's still vastly better than shit leave. So...
Oh, dear me. Well, yeah, there we go.
It was pretty damn great, and it was a worthwhile time.
I had a lovely time. I really enjoyed it, despite the fact that I was really sleep deprived at that time, and was, desperately fighting for consciousness.
When are you not?
This is true. You do tend to do this quite a lot.
Mostly because I have to take a long, long journey, starting very, very early in the morning, if I ever want to meet you guys.
Yeah, but this time, we've been in Japan for days, and we actually had a relatively normal sleep pattern.
Hang on, no, I'm sure there was something on that day that meant we were having more trouble with it. I can't remember what it was, but there was something. There was reasonable cause at that time.
That was about it.
Nah, there's something else, I'm sure of it.
We had at least 6 hours of sleep pretty much every night there. Apart from the first day, we had the one that. And afterwards, I can understand, because we were in the bloody airport overnight. But I think it was anything before that.
I don't know.
It was a worthwhile time, and I want to do it again. Preferably, tomorrow. But it was damn good. Anyway, after that, I guess me and Ed went to see Silent Hill Live, which you've already heard about because we did a podcast on it.
Yeah. There's not really much more we can say about that one, aside from listen to the podcast that we did on it.
Oh yeah,
it was good.
Unless there's anything else, I think one thing I should mention is that, like Mogra, which I mentioned before, DSH also does Ustream their events sometimes. But the only thing is, unlike Mogra, they do not store their video. So if you want to watch their stuff, you have to be there when they're doing it. Which means they'll probably have to pay attention to Japanese time. But it's definitely worth doing. Try it out.
Yeah, I suppose it's my turn to make a litany of the various live shows I went to this year.
Oh boy, here we go.
Oh, I'm just trying to... I'm in the position of I've been to so many that I can't remember whether they were this year or last. It's sort of like, was that 2015? Huh?
Like Modern Major General.
Huh?
Just run them through that way.
Actually, funny you should mention Modern Major General. I went to a production of Pirates of Penzance.
Nice.
Bit of a different one to normal because it was an all-male cast. But the curious thing about it is, now one thing that amazed me, because all-male cast, and yes, that does mean that all the women were men.
That was totally obvious. So that one person was talking about the hotel fire in Dubai. That literally, in the news report, they just said, well, the building was on fire, and during that time it was burning.
Well,
so, no shit.
But the reason I make this point is, yeah, some of the men were singing soprano. And I'm not talking sort of the semi-falsetto soprano that men can typically do. I'm talking full-on. If you didn't know better, you would think it was a woman singing type soprano.
Nice.
And the thing is, after you've been watching it for about 10 minutes or so, your perceptions skew, so it doesn't really register that it's an all-male cast after a bit. It's kind of weird because there are bits where you have kiss scenes, and I heard about some people getting a bit squiffy about it because, oh, 2 men kissing, how scandalous. But
it's current year.
Yeah, and the thing is, for me, it didn't even register. I was sort of like, I'm not. Am I?
To be fair, why would anyone be bothered?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, bear in mind we're talking about Richmond audience and Wimbledon audiences and that sort of thing, where the average age is sort of 60 plus. Although saying that, my dad's in his 60s. But anyway, yeah, that was a really good show, and sort of the versatility that they showed, disregarding the fact that it's sort of all-male cast and all that sort of thing. And it really gave a good idea, despite just being one stage with a very limited set. We're talking, all they had were sort of boxes and that sort of thing that would act as the set. And it was really very effective in how dynamic all the movements and everything were. But backtracking through the year, saw Battle Beast, Sabaton and Delane live. That was a very fun gig, which Battle Beast is kind of like what happens if you give Judas Priest a female singer.
Right.
In that it's a very power metal, and the singer is you get some female singers who they're not they don't sing soprano, they sing a very sort of not quite growling but a very gruff vocal.
Like Hailstorm.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Who, funnily enough, I'll be seeing them later this year.
Oh, fair enough.
Hailstorm vocals, but a bit more sort of Judas Priest in terms of musical arrangement, that sort of thing. Delane, they're very sort of symphonic metal, and in the oeuvre of Nightwish, Within Temptation, all those sorts of bands. One song in particular of theirs, which they closed their set on, is called We Are the Others, which is a song specifically written for Sophie Lancaster, if that name means anything to any of you guys.
More to him than me, I suppose.
Sorry?
More to him than me, to be honest.
Yeah, I know who it is.
Sophie Lancaster, she was the girl who got beaten to death by a bunch of chavs whilst trying to protect her boyfriend.
Now I know who you mean.
Basically, because of what happened to her, it set a precedent for attacks on sort of people of goth culture, metal culture, that sort of thing. Movements being made towards those attacks being recognised as hate crimes. And there's been odd songs here and there dedicated to her, and We Are the Others is a key example of one. I'll put a link in the description so everyone can get an idea. I have mentioned it before, but it's one of those, it needs to be listened to really bring home the full force of it. And Sabaton, well, we're talking about I want to say Swedish band.
I think that might be Swedish, yeah.
Yeah, who sing, all their songs are, well, the majority of their songs are based around wars and battles and things like that. And despite that, they're a very upbeat band when it comes to interactions with the audience, that sort of thing. And there was this one bit where the lead singer started playing the opening riff from Master of Puppets by Metallica, and he was really impressed that the crowd were able to continue singing along for the entire first verse, because most crowds just give up after a while. And during that bit, you could see off to the side that one of the other band members had a pair of wire clippers, and he just, whilst the lead singer was really getting into playing, I think it was the bassist who did this, he just sidled along and clipped the strings one by one. So
there are no strings on me.
Oh god, you had to reference that. There's that. Oh god, what have I been to this year? There's been so much. Oh yeah, I saw Psycho Stick in September. For those who don't know what they're like, although I did a podcast, that was like the third podcast we did. They're basically a comedy metal band. That was a really great show because, as I said, able to get up close and personal with them, being right at the front, and also was able to talk to them after the show.
It's good to know they're still around, because I remember them back in the day.
Yeah, well, this was actually their first ever show in England.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've been...
I just wish that I'd known about Draconian doing their first ever show in England before I found out about it 3 days afterwards.
They've been wanting to do a show in England for years, but this is the first time they've been able to properly get the ball rolling with it. And I can't believe I only just remembered it, seeing as I'm a massive fanboy of him, Devin Townsend.
Of course.
With his live show of Dark Matters, where... Great show! Brilliant show. However, I would have liked to have seen more done. But, to his credit, the show was fan-funded. And we're talking using the excess funds that he got for another album, Casualties of Cool. Basically, that got like 5 times the goal.
Nice.
And it was basically donating some of the money to dog sanctuaries and funding the album, the double album of Dark Matters and Sky Blue, and funding the live show.
Which is also reviewed.
Huh?
Which is also reviewed.
Yeah. Basically, I think the staple is if Devin Townsend releases an album, I'm going to review it because...
And then masturbate furiously.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a brilliant show. Closing with... Well, one of the last songs played was Bastard, which is actually one of my favourite Devin Townsend songs across the board, including Strapping Young Lad and all of his different stuff. It's one of my favourites. And it closed with Universal Flame, which I absolutely love. And what really pipped it to me is it wasn't fan request that was the reason he played it as his last song.
Was his choice?
No. His son wanted it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it gets better. His wife and his son came on stage during its play. You basically had all the various people who helped make it a reality come on stage.
Nice.
It was one of those things that is sort of like you could really feel the love for the music and for Devin culminate when Universal Flame was being played. It really just spoke volumes of, you know, as we've said, metal is not the most lucrative of genres, but it's all about the passion that people have for it. And it really rang true during the last few songs. I mean, it rang true throughout the show, but those last few songs really put emphasis on it.
That's nice. Good. To me, it's so much better when you feel that, you know, the people that are doing it know that they want to be doing it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in the same week as Silent Hill Live, I also went to see Killing Joke. And Richard, you want to say about mental things? Oh dear God! I mean, I said last episode about talking through my stomach because it was so insane, but seriously, it got absolutely mental. I mean, basically, it was a case of I barely moved from the point it started. And I'm not talking not moving from being at front or anything. I'm talking I was basically being supported by the people that were squashing into me.
Nice.
One of those concerts, eh?
Bit of a shout out to the opening act. Jar Wobble. I know, a bit of a weird name.
Her name is fantastic.
But they were a really fun band, and the lead guitarist, he had the spirit of Hendrix going through him.
Nice.
I am not kidding. I mean, if he does not... I mean, I get the feeling that Jar Wobble is one of those sort of like, you've got the front guy, and then you've got various touring and session artists that play with him to do the songs live. If that guy does not sort of rise to fame, then a disservice has been done. Because, you know, when sometimes you can see that there are various mechanical tricks done to really engineer a particular sound. You could tell that this guy was doing all of the technical stuff on his own, you know. He was producing the weird string vibrations and chords with just the use of his wah-wah pedal and the whammy bar and all that sort of thing. You could tell he was putting his heart and soul into getting the right sound.
I mean, I'll be sure to check that out because I like stuff like that.
It's very sort of post-punky sort of stuff, a bit of ska, bit of jazz, bit of punk rock, all blended into one thing to get a very unique sound. Oh, so many. Oh yeah, Paradise Lost. I have seen them live before, but that was at Bloodstock, which is a very different kettle of fish because you don't get the full impact that you do from the band's live show itself. The weirdest thing about that show was I actually predicted what song they'd close on.
Some things, I guess. Because you kind of have a feel for it and think, I reckon I'm going to finish with this one.
Yeah, it was, I'm trying to think. It's one of their big tracks.
It doesn't really narrow it down that much. I got quite a lot of them. You know which album it's from?
Sorry?
You know which album it's from?
I think it's Draconian Times, or Symbol of Life.
Quite a different era, though.
Okay. It's essentially designed as a bit of a closer. It's really bugging me because it's right there. I mean, I know they played Pray Nightfall, which is one of those, yes, play this.
This is a good song. At one point, Pray Nightfall was actually my favourite song on that album, but it's not anymore. I would say Mystify was my favourite, actually. On the Celebration, that's good too.
No Celebration, they also did.
Nice. I should get the newest stuff because I think the most recent album that I got is in Requiem. That was what, 2005?
Yeah.
2007.
In Requiem was 2007.
Yeah, that's the most recent album that I've actually got.
Oh god, yeah, you need to update a bit.
I know, at least like 3 albums behind.
Oh, Say
Probably
Just Words! That's what they closed with, Say Just Words.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I heard that so very wrong. All I heard was Sex with Birds.
Say Just Words, dear.
Sex with Birds.
Oh, we're not dealing with Gua.
I think it's because we've got this stupid garden gnome at work where it's designed to make it look, which is also a bird feeder, so it's designed to look like the birds are giving the gnome a blowjob.
Ew.
A bit over the madness, guys.
Huh?
A bit over the madness, Ed.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. They played a mix of old and current.
Makes sense. Or the regular thing about still.
Yeah. Well, the tour was specifically for their newest album, so.
It is heavy on the new album, but a bunch of random stuff and other stuff as well.
Yeah. They might have, but I can't. It was a couple of months back, so. I mean, it was basically at the start. Well, it was mid-November, so. No, mid-October even. Anyway, what was? I've lost track. It was a while ago. Yeah, I think. Oh, last thing, and this is a bit of a plug and part of my freelance work. A launch party, which was at Winchester Uni, for a new record label called Splendid Fred Records. I've basically been commissioned to do a written review of the live show and of the singles, the compilation album called A List of Things I Never Did. Yes, I am plugging this massively, but I need to because it gets me money. But that was a fun show. Annoyingly, because of train fuck-ups up the wazoo, I ended up getting there about an hour late. We're talking having to wait an hour for the train that would have gotten me from Clapham to Winchester type train fuck-ups. I took a train to Woking, and it ended up it would have been the same amount of time if I'd just waited at Clapham. Because trains. But yeah, that was a fun show. there were certain standouts a bit more than others, like Hannah Jacobs. She had a writing style that was very sort of biting and sarcastic and kind of very aware of current sort of media and all that sort of thing. So there's potential there. Also, we're trying to remember which one it was. Oh, Out of Sorts, a Czech band who managed to get signed with the label. They're a sort of punkish type. It was all very interesting. I would go into it more, but obviously I've got to save a bit for the written review, which I'll send to you all, and you can all marvel at how crap my writing is whilst I'm ill. Also, how crap it is when I'm trying to remember something that happened 4 weeks prior and would have gotten written if I hadn't gotten ill. C'est la vie. But yeah, that wraps it up just about for me and live shows. I might have forgotten one. It's quite easy because I went to a lot of stuff last year.
You do a lot, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure where to go from here.
During the last year we did, favourite song and most biggest disappointment, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, biggest surprise and biggest disappointment.
My favourite overall song thing.
Yeah. So, biggest surprises for you guys?
Biggest surprise is Rich being alive, that's a surprise. I think, what was a big surprise?
To be honest, I can't really think of anything that was really that surprising to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it comes to biggest surprise, I'd probably see Dempagumi, because I didn't particularly like Dempa until I heard Dempagumi.
The downfall has begun. Your face is doomed for the shift. Like mine. I don't know whether the class is a surprise or disappointment, because I really don't know how to feel about the Shokutan and Dempagumi crossover song. Sometimes I can get along with, other times I just can't. I can't.
Right, Shokutan and Dempagumi.
Yeah, they're the perfect match.
Collaboration, and it was written by Hyade, I think, wasn't it? I think it might have been.
I think it was, but I think there's something about...
I personally quite like it.
I need to listen to it again a few times, but...
The video is amazing, though.
Yeah, I guess I call that my surprise, because I think I find myself enjoying it more times than I dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good one, ultimately, I think.
But they're not quite sure.
I know nothing.
There's not many surprises for me, aside from, and this is a very minor one, but discovering, of all things, we get back to Wrecking Ball.
Oh.
The Rebecca Black cover of Wrecking Ball.
You mentioned this.
Which actually manages to implant some semblance of decent emotion and weight into the song, despite Rebecca Black being about 4 years younger than Miley Cyrus.
Oh, I thought of something else. The new Masaki Endo CD.
Oh?
Oh man.
Don't give me a show when I got her.
Yeah, it's another anime thing. I do excuse my weirdo, but this guy, he's part of Jam Project, right? And he's most accustomed to, he's well known for singing songs for classic hot-blooded mecha shows. He's done a couple of albums already. He does these songs called M Song, which are like anime music cover CDs, and he always goes for things that are slightly inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But he's really sort of gone into overdrive on this current CD. Like, what's on it? It's got, and in terms of things I actually know, he did one of the songs from Bakemonogatari. Like, I'm sure Dan, as a big fan of Bakemonogatari, you'll know, Show Monogatari.
Yes.
Imagine that, except really hot-blooded. He did the opening to Ojamajo Doremi, Little Witch Doremi. He did Snow Halation from Love Live. He did, just talking about ones that are more relevant to everyone else. Well, he did My Soul, Your Beat from Angel Beats, which is ridiculous.
I think it's pretty great though.
And he did the ending theme to Tiger and Bunny.
Huh.
Oh,
Yeah, Orion Renazzo, originally by Unison Square Garden. It's really, really good. Like, I mean, I knew this guy had made 2 albums before, but it had, like, this newest one was released in October. And I didn't even know it was coming out. I just stumbled on it while I was over there. And the last one that he made before was all the way back in 2008. In fact, both of the previous ones in this line he'd released in 2008. So it was quite reasonable to think, oh, I guess he's done with that then. But surprise!
I actually do have a surprise for you.
Yeah?
A band called Alcest.
Sounds familiar.
That's like kind of yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, normally when my brother and his friends talk about bands, they like, I don't tune it out. They mention so many that I don't recognise that. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll check some of those out if you ever send them to me, and they didn't. This is one that he managed to send me, and my god, was it worth it.
I've heard about Alcest, I'm pretty sure.
They're one of those bands that are amazingly good at making you feel certain emotions. Like, they're it's sort of like, I'm going to sound really pretentious here, but everything they've put out so far has been a Gesamtkunstwerk. You know what that means? It's a term that I heard in like a video game review. But it's basically, if you took anything away, any element, the whole thing would just collapse. But because they're all together, it makes it amazing.
Also, it's kind of like the key step, like a situation where like everything is like holding it up. I see. Interesting.
Yeah, I think everyone should at least check out their 2014 album Shelter, if no other.
Okay. I'll check it out. Listen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard the name Alcest before. I never
Yeah.
heard of them. Should.
I possibly heard something by them, but you know how you hear so many band names and you're just sort of like, do I know that one? I'm not sure. It sounds familiar.
The way their music is, it could be used quite easily as an opening theme from the Shishi.
Ah.
Oh.
So yeah,
Yes, please, for that.
Actually,
I don't know, in some situation, I think I might have heard something by them, but I can't remember exactly what.
Actually, the one other big surprise, which applies for both Pierce and myself, getting to meet Akira Yamaoka after Silent Hill Live.
I thought it was worth hanging around, and it was.
Yeah, that was just
People were like, oh, they don't have to come out. No, they don't think you will. And then he just walked out, just casually, and went and sat down and said, come on, guys.
It was one of those, okay, I ain't complaining.
Sure. This is a guy that I've been a huge fan of, like, more than half my life, so it was great to meet him. I actually thank him for what he's done. Really worth it. Pretty worth going to the show just to, meet the guy, if it wasn't for the fact that the live show was really good as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of disappointments now.
Yeah, the only thing I can really think of is what I've already mentioned, which is the AC/DC album.
Yeah, and for me, the Coldwell Kids and Florence albums, respectively, is the same.
Yeah, I listened to the new Florence Symphony album when I was on the plane to Japan. Nothing grabbed me. After Ceremonials, which I thought was really good, the album just kind of went, well, it's okay. It was like one song that I actually thought, that's pretty good. The rest of it just didn't really leave any impression whatsoever.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Yeah, because the Ceremonials was really good. And I thought that Lungs was kind of like, half of it was amazing, half of it was kind of average. And Ceremonials just came out and most of it was really good. And the new one was like, they might grow on me eventually, but
Coldwell Kids one was almost exactly the same kind of feel in that way. Like, it feels like the stuff they produced like 4 years ago still. Which I like it. It's more of the same thing, but it's still,
This just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
That's a problem with these sorts of things. After every band has either the absolute worst album, Saint Anger! I thought I'd get that out of the way.
Everything Nickelback's done. Complete the combo.
Yeah. We can't have the year-end wrap-up without the Nickelback Saint Anger combo.
It's pretty much necessary.
Yeah. We will have to kill that running joke after a point, because otherwise...
Maybe after now. I just think the best to end it.
Yeah. We'll just have to find some other punching bags.
Courage Democracy.
Oh, God. And that was an actual sneeze.
Yeah, that's for disappointments. Some of the new California album I probably have to put in there.
Yeah.
Simply because most things this year, apart from the new Florence album, have actually, been at least decent.
And
whilst most of the new California album is decent, they're just usually better than decent.
yeah. And when you consider that we're comparing it to things like Draconian,
Which is still a very damn good job.
yeah,
And a bit more.
Faith No More, which were just absolutely amazing. It's
and because Draconian actually a step up from their last album, which is a good sign.
I mean, that's the thing, when bands take a step up and you look at others which they're just a bit nah.
Yeah, just kind of trailed off.
Yeah. And other things, Geekery single, the A-side isn't even close to her best work, probably worth mentioning.
I haven't heard any new Geekery in a while, so...
Also, probably the newest Claris A-side is not that great. Which is disappointing, because the last one was really good. Once again, it's a case of just nothing there really sticks. Which is sad. Because the previous single, all 3 songs in the previous single were, legit really good. And the most recent one came out, and I've only heard it a couple of times so far, that might grow on me, but nothing really caught my attention there.
Fair dues.
We thought the first one, I have had some before that haven't really got my attention, but most of the time it's pretty solid.
Is Richard still there?
I think he's having work for me.
Yes, I am. Yeah, sorry,
Alright.
I just turned off my thing because I was sneezing all over the place.
Fair dues.
In terms of disappointment, I don't know. I guess the only thing I would say about could really disappoint me was the fact that after going to DS Stage 3, I was thinking if I'd gone to Mogra again, I would have got to see a bunch of people I'd really liked, but I missed out. But that's it. I can't really think of any albums that I've heard this year that have really disappointed me at all, but that's because I probably haven't listened to as much this year as I have, I mean, last year, as I did the year before. That's about it.
I think we're reaching the point where we can definitely wrap up. We've almost gotten to 4 hours.
Should we just do favourite song? That's the last thing.
Yeah, favourite song. Oh God, that's
Oh please no! I can't do that.
That's going to be so difficult for me as well.
It's gonna be hard.
Can we just have a quick timeout before we do anything like that? Can we just come back to that in a minute?
What's the What's the question? This is pretty much gonna be the end, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, good point. Fair enough. Okay, fine. You're holding me at gunpoint.
Favourite song for me, probably Cut the Cord from Shinedown's newest album. That's the one that I've listened to the most from this year.
Yeah, fair enough. Interesting choice. Personally, I don't know. I mean, the ones that come to mind when I think of super good songs this year would be Lore from Octozook's album. Izumi Saki from Calafina's album, which is the only song there that is legit really fucking good. Literally half the Draconian album, or most specifically Dust Mariner and Dishearten, those two together.
Yeah, I'd also say Dishearten.
And probably Ophelia, the B-side from Amos Brave Run. That is a fucking amazing song. Brave Run itself is fantastic, but Ophelia is even better.
Yeah.
Also, there's a live version of one of the songs from Midnight Sun on there, which is also super fucking good. That's probably the only ones that are classed as, best song of the year material. Although, no, I mean, some of the stuff on Sol Invictus is very good. Like Separation Anxiety is probably the best thing there that comes to mind. And also, Kobito no Mukashi Gatui no Yuguri ni, the B-side from Calafina's Ring of Bell. It's great. And possibly Memories by Love Like from My Lost in Miracles, because I can't stop listening to that damn song.
Oh boy, here we go then.
And possibly Aeropolis and Extra Mode from Kicks All Over Rhythm 5.
Fuck you, I was about to say Extra Mode, you asshole.
Well, it's not like you. It's not like.
Also, Stand Proud dramatic version from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And what is so I think it's just I cry every time.
It's not like you're limited to.
No, I know. It's just easier to talk about something without sounding like a tool if no one else has said it. But okay, my stuff. I'd have to say Shine from Idolmaster, because I feel like that has an outstanding world to it. I don't know how to really put it, but it's cozy. It is super cozy, and it makes me. It's like To use some kind of analogy, it's kind of like when you drink something that's kind of spicy in front of a fire in like a log cabin at Christmas or something. It's like it feels encouraging to listen to, I guess. There's something about hearing a group of people singing together that feels really nice, and it is warm.
I'm doing the Rock's eyebrow raise right now. That description was so peculiar.
I don't think it's that peculiar, but what else would I say? Unfortunately, a lot of my stuff is Idolmaster, simply because I probably mentioned Love Live the last time I was on this podcast and how much I'm probably addicted to that game. Well, now Idolmaster has one as well, and I'm hooked on that instead. So I'm exposed to a lot of Idolmaster music. But I'm just looking at what else there was. I just generally have been hooked on idol shit this year, like Honeycomb from Ogre Yui. That is horrible mindworm. I don't know if it's hard to say whether I'd term that a song of the year due to actually liking it, or whether I've Stockholm syndromed it because I've just been listening to it over and over again. Being a new one, there it is. Extra Mode I've already said from Kicks for Liberation 5, but yeah, no, it's got to be Shine. It's got to be Shine. That is my best song of the year. Also speaking of Shine's Brave Shine. Shine and Brave Shine. Those two would probably have to be my favorites.
Shiny and Chrome.
I would have to say Daraka Umiwo by
Yes.
Emma.
Fucking yes.
Because I listen to that song constantly.
If it wasn't for Ophelia, that would be probably my aim song of the year.
Mm.
That was the first time we was like, oh, give it to me. Good.
As I've mentioned before, the anthology version of Sorajino Sadame is great. Also, Hailstorm's cover from like 2 years ago of Shoot to Thrill, which I thoroughly enjoy.
Also, Disturbed Sound for Silence cover.
Oh god, that.
That was a good cover.
I liked, there are a couple of songs off To Pimp a Butterfly I really liked, Kendrick Lamar's album. But yeah, there wasn't a hell of a lot that I kept constantly listening to, but those were the kind of things.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think, if I can remember rightly, Satori by Grails was also an important one. Anyway, yeah, that's me.
Well, I think that's overall. I think we've kind of exhausted the discussion points music-wise. At least brain power-wise, we'd probably be able to come up with more if we were all together and able to properly bounce off each other. We'd probably come up with more.
I could do like an entire segment on my own about music games I've experienced in the last rhythm games I've experienced in the last year.
Yeah.
God.
But I think we're already almost at the.
No, not now.
We're already almost at the 4-hour mark, and I've got to edit all of this. So.
Stop! Hit the brakes!
Anyway, yeah, I think this has been a pretty good wrap-up. I mean, we would have done it sooner, but technology thought otherwise. But...
Pretty much. Also, water thought otherwise.
Yeah. Water and technology decided, no, we're going to fuck with everything.
They decided they'd team up and go for the championship belt this year.
Talking of favourite songs of the year, John Cena's theme.
Water will get out of the cage, Matt, and be in the cage at the same time. It'll fuck you up, wherever in the cage you are.
Oh god, I wish I could find my kazoo so I could just do the John Cena.
The emotional kazoo cover of the Titanic theme.
Oh, my heart will go on, yeah.
That was bass.
Good.
That was kazoo covers of Rules of Nature.
Links to all of these will be in the description, I assure you. As much as you might not want them
Another
to.
thing I just thought of, the Undertale soundtrack is super good.
Oh man, Megalomania. Fuck, I'm gonna talk about that right now. Just Megalomania.
That and Bone Trussel.
Bone Trussel, yeah, but Megalomania is odd because it's a song that's been in so many things now. Because it was in an Earthbound hack, then it was in the Homestucks, then it was in... Now it's in Undertale. It's good. It is just really impressive.
Anyway, best wrap up, otherwise I'm never going to get this podcast edited down to reasonable amounts of length.
It won't happen anyway.
Yeah.
Like last year, it would be in 2 parts, if not 3.
It will be in 2 parts at least. Anyway, I suppose best sign off. This has been the 2015 year-end roundup with not as much ranting as last time, but a lot of strange discussions that tangented.
Apologies.
Fund the Wu-Tang movie.
Yes, we need the Wu-Tang movie. I believe the best way to sign off is someone get the Wu-Tang movie done. I will personally help make it if you propose this. I will find and knock out each of the members of the Wu-Tang Clan and round them up if you can get this done.
That and its sequel, Tupac Shakur, Ace Attorney.
That should be good.
But yes, I believe that should be a good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night from him.
Good night from everyone else, I guess.
Yeah.
That went really weird. Something six full like spiral psychological.
Good night.
So beat your eyes on the big blue sky and wave bye-bye from the long black Cadillac. Pay the price, gotta roll those dice and wave bye-bye from the long black Cadillac. From the long black Cadillac. I hear the sirens of redemption screaming out like never before. And there's a roadblock in every direction, but I ain't stopping 'cause I'm in control.